Dick Smith, the Australian legend, thanks for joining us on Australia in Space TV.
It's a pleasure.
Dick, we're here at Av-Comm Space and Defence, their office opening here in North Sydney.
Yep.
It's a long sort of history to Av-Comm that a lot of people don't know. It's a 40-year-old company. You used to work with Gary, the founder. Maybe just your background with Av-Comm and how it relates to what you were doing.
I met Gary Kratt many years ago when he worked with me at Dick Smith Electronics. He's one of the reasons that Dick Smith was so successful. And then I've watched him as he's gone out on his own and then brought his son Michael into the business, and they've done incredibly well. I'm very proud because they're so Australian, and that's important.
I think how do you go from 40 years ago, look at the electronics and the communication platforms that you were looking at back then?
It's impossible to believe the changes. I know as a pilot, just the changes, the fact that we've got such incredible GPS navigation now, and Av-Comm are working on making ground reference available, which will make it even more accurate. So it's incredible. No one could have believed 40 years ago just where we'd be today.
I suppose the other key takeaway here is PNG Telecom are here as well, and what it means for the Pacific nations. Again, I think what opportunities do you think there still exists for Michael taking over from Gary, his father?
Oh, definitely. I mean, Michael's young, and that's what we need, some young people coming along. And I notice most of the employees here are really young, which is fantastic. There's going to be a great future with Av-Comm without any doubt. And the fact that we're going to be manufacturing in Australia and then exporting to countries like PNG, that's something that I was never able to do. I'm quite jealous.
Wonderful. Well, Dick Smith, thank you very much for joining us on Australia in Space TV and supporting Av-Comm.
Great to talk to you.
Thank you. Michael Kratt, CEO with Av-Comm Space and Defence. It's a pleasure to be here at your North Sydney office opening. Congratulations.
Thank you for coming, Chris. Yeah, it's a fantastic milestone, so it's great to have everyone here.
Look, we've interviewed you before, but we've just interviewed the likes of Dick Smith. Hopefully we'll talk to your father, Gary, as well. But it's a 40-year-old company and going gangbusters now and about to explode even further. I suppose maybe just where you're at right now and the purpose of opening this office in North Sydney.
Yeah, so the team at the moment's growing. We're focusing more on the defence sector, and we've got some interesting programs running with Lockheed Martin at the moment, as well as our SouthPAN program, which is more the civilian space side of things. But as the company is growing, we've found we needed to build up our systems engineering capabilities, and we found that North Sydney is going to be the ideal place for that because it's on the junction of so many different transport links. It makes it easy for us to recruit people. We're out in Brookvale for our engineering centre of excellence. That was fantastic for a lot of the trades that we need to be a part of that. But now also we're building out that kind of white collar workforce as well.
And it sounds like you're definitely working in PNG, the Pacific, and you're also sort of moving into some of the sort of more commercial communication platforms as well?
Yeah, definitely. So our heritage in the Pacific goes back to 1995. So my father Gary first went to the Solomons back in 1995 to look at setting up a pay TV channel. That never eventuated, but he built a few relationships with the local telecommunications companies, and we found that those areas, perhaps more so than Australia, needed satellite communications to kind of cover the tyranny of distance in telecommunications.
Well, it sounded like today, and we need to check his quote, but PNG Telecom, they've got about 20 clients at the moment and they're targeting 200, so that's a tenfold increase just in one country.
Yeah, it's an interesting story with Telecom. So we only met them about a year ago about this time,
right.
And from there we've signed probably about $10 million in contracts with work, and we're working not just on those 20 sites, which is for some of the government services, but we're also working on a whole wholesale back-end infrastructure for a lot of their telephone exchanges to provide resiliency when the fibre optic cables fail or need to have maintenance done.
And I suppose from a staff perspective, again, you've got a very family-orientated business here, so I suppose that maybe not a challenge, but that'd be one of your key aspects, is keeping that culture, the family culture.
Yeah, definitely. So many of the people here we've met through being friends or family. My right-hand man, Evan Kirk, I worked with his father when I first started at the company, yeah. So it's kind of been able to work through that circle of trust, and you kind of think you might going to run out, but then of course someone knows somebody else. And part of the great part of working here is that so many people are from diverse backgrounds, and there's very few people who are from the satellite communications or pure engineering world, and they just want to come in, have a go, work to try and achieve something and kind of do something that they feel like they're making a difference on. And right. I think we're able to offer that, which is why the team's been so successful. Well,
you were one to watch the moment we saw you, and you've been around for so long, so it's an amazing story, something that our audience will definitely be interested in. So Michael, well done and congratulations on opening up in North Sydney.
Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Gary Kratt, the founder of Av-Comm Space and Defence. Thanks for joining us on Australia in Space TV.
My pleasure.
Gary, it's well done. Congratulations on
Thank you.
opening in North Sydney now. We've just spoken to Michael and also your former partner, Dick Smith. And I think that takes you back to where it all started.
Yeah, I had Dick was a mentor to me. He taught me how to run a business, how to live the product, how to make sure that you have sufficient margin to stay in business, and he also encouraged me in the engineering side of things. So I came previously from a background with AWA, another Australian industry giant, no longer unfortunately, but in those days it was a vertically integrated engineering company and we did everything, and he encouraged me to use that knowledge to help him and to help myself, and here we are 42 years later. At the opening of our new office.
And I suppose it's easier said than done, but the change in technology during that period of time, what would be a key message, I suppose, as a takeaway for people to maintain that business? So in an electronics, advanced technology sector, the challenges or what you overcome?
Expect the unexpected, you know. Right. No one would believe 10 years ago that you could have a device in your hand the size of a packet of cigarettes and you could converse two-way video with anyone around the world. No one would have believed you. They'd say you're crazy.
Right.
But we're not crazy, here it is.
Well, you must have had some vision. We've had representation from PNG, Telecom and the like here, and we heard you've been out to the Pacific in the 90s, you know, looking for opportunity.
We've always gravitated towards our Pacific friends, New Guinea, Solomons, in that area. Unfortunately, they don't have the fibre optic connectivity that we have in Australia. They have to rely on satellites, and they're probably relying on old legacy systems that were installed in the 1980s. So we saw an opportunity to go out there and introduce some new technology and get them some comms that they never had before. We established the first uplink out of the Solomon Islands by satellite. Had never been done before, so I'm pleased to have played a little part in that history.
And the company's really forming itself now. It's got some major defence contracts and some primes backing the company, as well as sort of diversifying in the advanced communications platforms as well. As you say, because of those small devices, it's the size of a packet of cigarettes in their hand. I suppose, where do you see the opportunities now for the company and handing over to your son?
There's plenty of opportunities in defence, but there are also a lot of opportunities in space that really have not been explored. It's a growing industry. There's a lot of startups, and we hope to be able to support all of them.
Yeah. Maybe lastly, you had some federal members and local members of Parliament here today. So you've got your political. Do you think Australia federally and state-based is doing enough? Would you like to see more?
I'd like to see them do more, particularly in the space arena.
Yeah.
But I understand that these things take time, and as long as they're receptive, then it'll be good.
Great. Well, Gary, congratulations on 42 years now.
That's right.
It's been a couple of years since we first met, and it's going very quickly, but you're now opening up in North Sydney, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.